So I have my slide here, and so it's important to let us know that when people say AI in QA teams, they usually don't mean AI has replaced tester. I know there's been this question of AI is replacing tester. In fact, interestingly, I was in a webinar session today on using OpenAI, integrating it on your MCP servers, to then your MCP server integrated with like your Jira, your Playwright, your Figma, your Confluence. And jokingly, one of the QAs said, this thing is taking my job, oh," because she saw the way this tool was able to automate the entire flow from generating test cases to writing the test cases to executing the test cases. It was like, wow, you know. But again, human intervention is still required. So we're still going to dive deeper into all this. Um, and again, it's very important to understand that AI is mostly used as an assistant. See it as your assistant, like your co-pilot. And it's helping you move faster. It's helping you do things like drafting test cases and generating scripts. It helps you find gaps, it helps you summarize your failures. It helps you do so many amazing things. And this is why we say sit as your assistant or your co-pilots. It's not the final judge. So a good beginner mindset is this. AI is a co-pilot, not the final judge. It helps you create, explore, and speed up your testing. So the testers to decide what is correct. The testers to decide what is acceptable. The software testers to decide what should be shipped. So um, like you can see, it says the tester remain critical decision maker, determining what is correct, risky, and ready to ship. So human intervention is still required. You are the final judge, and this is why we said your domain knowledge, your foundational skill is very important. The deeper you are in your field or your career, the better you can use these tools and the better you can judge. Because sometimes these tools can be confidently wrong. They will give you wrong answer, and if you don't know what you're doing, you accept it the way it is, and so that's not really good for us. Now let's start with how companies use AI. Number one is requirements to test case. The tradition before AI, when requirements are given to us, we can use like a day, 2, or even 3 days to analyze the requirements. And after we finish analyzing, we can use another maybe 1 week, depending on how complex the application is, to draft test cases. And, then while drafting test cases too, we try to think of, negative, positive. Apologies, I needed to switch my internet. Hey, yeah, please confirm you can see my screen.
Coming up.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, so we're looking at using AI to generate test cases from a requirement document. So yes, so let's say you have an existing requirement document and I have my prompt here. This is a basic prompt. Because another thing you need to understand is the level at which you input your prompt determines the kind of output you get. So if I just uploaded the PRD and I tell AI, create test cases for me, yes, it's going to create test cases, but to what extent? What is it going to cover? So your prompt also matters. You could see here that I said as a senior QA engineer, I will share a priority with you, read carefully and generate comprehensive test cases. You should the following include the following features: test scenario, test cases, precondition. Then I mentioned there that also include positive test cases, negative, and so on. So with this, it's going to generate a test case for me. So I can just copy this prompt, go to my, let me say my ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, anyone you currently using. Yeah, even with a free plan, you can still generate your test cases. So let's say I have this PRD open here. So all I just need to do is drop my prompts. And by the time I hit the send button, it should draft test cases for me based on what I want. Um, Recently too, there was a project I was on and an existing project I took over. And there's this existing test case that was different from what I'm used to. So what did I do? I uploaded the test case. I told the AI tool to focus on each columns of those test cases and help me draft my test cases. So let's say I have about 9 columns on that test case. I specified what it should, draft for me, and was able to just give me like a full test case without me having to, edit that much. Yeah, so you can see it says assumption used for drafting this question. So we have some open questions, and if I decide, and that's one thing I like about these tools, they also ask you questions. If I answer all these questions, it's going to rewrite the test cases based on the answer I provided. For example, what exact password rules apply? If I state this, it's going to draft the text based on what I say. So, like I said, this is one way to imagine you writing, like those of us that are, you know, they are holding in the industry. We know how we spend days, nights, writing test cases. And right now, but with AI, we don't need to, spend days or hours writing test cases. So that being said, where's my slide? Yeah. So another is code generation. So you want to write a test script, whether an API script or a UI script to automate a certain flow. I think early this year, I built a framework, like a full-fledged framework in less than, I think in less than 5 or 10 minutes, because I had the right prompts and I had all the script, everything, generated for me. So even with this AI tools, you can use it to generate your scripts. And I mentioned in one of our previous sections, especially those that are learning, that you want to learn automation, it's going to make your life easy. Even line of codes that you don't understand, you can put it here and it's going to explain to you. Yeah, it's going to explain to you and all. So it's good for code generation. Another is visual regression tests. Using AI for human-like visual validation or UI component and layouts. Check things like test overlap detection, broken alignment, mobile layout breakouts. There are tools that can help with this as well. I've tried one before. There was this using Marble AI. I added my UI screen and also the app itself screen, and I asked it to, help me run some UI tests, and it did. It helped me spot things like, text overlapping, broken links, or mobile layout breakout, and so many other issues like that. Yeah, so moving on, still on how company uses AI. Yeah, so we're looking at, let me move this guy. Yeah. So we're looking at testing AI products when we talk about powers with evaluations. So the traditional QA says that the button work. And when it comes to AI feature and QA, we look at things like, was the answer safe, truthful, and useful? So the traditional QA, when you input A, you always get the same outputs. So same input, same output. That's a traditional way of testing. But when we talk about AI, it's same input, different outputs. But when we now look at those different outputs, we need to now ask questions like, is this output correct? Is this safe? Is this truthful? Does it align with our PRD? So that's the things we need to look out for. So like I said, you need to focus on higher areas of answers, like answer relevance, safety and refusal, grounding in policy. And again, it still falls back to how knowledgeable you are in that field. That's why you don't write off, your foundational knowledge. If you think AI is going to do everything to you, you are cheating yourself. While we are leveraging on AI, we are still, learning, improving our domain knowledge, grasping one skill and the other end. And when I started using AI, I went deeper to learn how to test, AI system. And one way I was able to, teach myself how to test this tool was, building an AI application. I used free AI tool to build one. I also learned how to, AI automation, like using tools like N8N, using Zapier to, automate workflows and checking the output you get at the end, So it still falls down to, how knowledgeable you are in that field and other skills you still need to develop in. You want to learn automation. Yes, AI will help you draft your your scripts, but how good are you with coding? Even understanding the basics. All these are also very, very important. Yes, so the practical value here says define the task, establish expected behavior and acceptable quality standard. Then run your test inputs. You execute a diverse set of prompts against AI model or RAG system. Then you analyze your results, compare actual output against expected behavior using manual auto evals. Then finally, you iterate, you refine this system prompts, you check your outputs, you check the model parameters, you need to refine them, you need to improve on it, you need to make some changes, and you keep repeating and improving your prompts. Early days of AI, I used an AI to write a quiz, and after the quiz, I realized I failed. Funny, right? So in my head, that was the early days of sometime early last year or thereabout. In my head, AI knows it all now. So, and I was surprised. Why did I fail? And that was when I realized that sometimes AI can be wrong. I'm sure many of you would have experienced that too. So the biggest wins for QA team when using AI, one is faster first draft. AI can generate your test case, your bug summary, your unit test. And why we say faster first draft is because it's a draft. What AI gives to you, you still need to review. You still need to do your own review before you accept it. So it saves 40 to 60% of your initial design time. Next is better coverage. AI helps you, uncover forgotten parts, negative scenario, edge cases. Yeah, no matter how knowledgeable you are in that field, you can miss out some important scenarios. And AI can also help you um, improve on your coverage based on the scenarios you've had before. So, for example, if I'm writing a login test script, a login test case, I could think of, verify when the fields are empty, when the password is wrong, when the emails are wrong, and so on. Then with AI, it can help you think of other scenarios. Look at performance, look at security, look at risks, look at password strengths, and so many other things like that. Now, next is less repetition. Automate boilerplate tasks like validation checks and getting step conversion. This is one of the flow I said I joined a webinar today. In fact, if you look at my screen here, this is my MCP. So this code connects to my MCP servers. You can see my Playwright, my Jira, my Figma. I don't know if I still have my terminal open. So what I experienced today using this tool was it's reviewed my Jira story. So a ticket that says, so let's say a ticket says implement login functionality and it has its acceptance criteria. So the first thing it did was it reviewed that ticket. After reviewing it, it's asked me what next. I said generate test cases. It generates a lot of test cases. And while doing that, it was asking me questions. Now, after generating, I told it to create those test cases on my Jira ticket as a subtask, and it did. And all this is possible because I've integrated my Atlassian, my Jira, my Playwright, Figma into this OpenAI tool. So I asked it to generate my test cases, and it did. Then I added it to the Jira ticket, it did. Then I asked it to execute the tests. And immediately I asked it to execute his test. He asked me some question that what is the URL? I provided it. He asked me what is the email and password to log in with. I provided it. And based on those information, it executed the entire test on Playwright CLI, and it showed me what passed, what failed. And from each ticket, he added the test results. The ones that had errors, he added it. The ones that passed, he added it pass. So look at how this could just work in just few minutes. I didn't even have to write my automation framework and all. I just asked it to execute for me. So we still need to go deeper, and there's still more interesting things we're going to learn with this. Sorry. Okay, so yeah, so next is enforce multiplier. Small teams handle more test creation and maintenance with AI assistance. And yes, using AI give us more time to, explore our application, do more exploratory tests, think about risks, based testing and all. So all those hours we spend on reviewing documents, creating test cases, you can save those time to do things that are more, still productive, like, doing more exploratory testing on that, going deeper into your application, understanding the out both front end and back end. Now, understanding the risks. So we've talked about how companies use AI, how you can use AI. We also need to look at the risks involved. One is AI hallucination. I've talked about this before. AI can sound authoritative. When I mentioned it can sound confidently wrong, while generating incorrect test, fake assertions, and wrong business assumptions, So never treat generated output as automatically correct. So that's what we mean by AI hallucination. Always check, always review before you accept. AI will only produce answers for you, but you are the final say. You are the one to accept or reject. We look at security and governance. The risks here includes, so when we look at OWASP stops 10 LMM, so it is a security testing tool. You can use it to, test your applications like, scan, BK scanning, SQL injection, and so many other security checks. So the risks include here prompt injection, insecure output handling, and training data poisoning. So what we are saying here is a test for safety, consistency, fairness, and not just accuracy. And again, when it comes to all these tools, we still, on your security, your privacy, even compliance, we also need to be careful of what informations we expose to this tool. There was day I was playing around my GitHub. I generated a token, and I wanted to use the token to, I think, push my repo, but for unknown reason, it was rejecting it. And mistakenly, I posted my prompts. I took a screenshot of my entire screen, which included my token, and I uploaded it on ChatGPT. Immediately, ChatGPT flagged it for me, said, I exposed my token, and he advised me to go delete that token. Immediately I saw it, I went back to my GitHub, I deleted the token and created a new one. So again, we need to be careful of, exposing sensitive data to these tools. So lesson from real usage. Start with low risk use cases, begin with test case generation, bug summary. In fact, these days I don't even write bugs again. I just, note down my summary, drop it on this tool. It creates a very beautiful, refined, detailed bug report for me. I just need to scan through, remove what is not needed, and paste it on Jira. Keep humans in the loop. The optimal flow, like I said, AI does the drafts, human reviews, you review, human approve, you approve, and CI validates. That's your continuous integration or test script validates your test. Thirdly, use evals for AI feature. Manual spot checks are often asked for chatbots. Build readable eval, data sets and run them repeatedly. So example here is like you testing a chatbot, and it's a conversation. You say A, you expect B. So you can build your reusable prompts in such a way that you can even ask it to do the same thing in different ways or a different, language. It's still part of your prompt. Then your prompts, you can have both negative, positive, scenario. You can even try to check for, privacy, check for critical business risks. For example, we are on a fintech application chatbot, and while having conversation with chatbot, you ask it to do a refund for you. What should be the behavior? Ideally, it shouldn't. But imagine a scenario that you ask a chatbot to process your refund and it does that for you. That's good. So in situations like that, it's expected to either escalate or give you a no answer. So these are some of the things we check for, we include in our prompts. Yep. So when it comes to measurements, you look at when measuring your outcome, using this tool, it helps reduce test design time, fewer flaky failures, improve test coverage, higher release confidence, and reduce escape defects. Now, essential tools to know when it comes to test case, generation, you can use Browser Stack AI, you can use OpenAI, you can use ChatGPT, you can use Claude, and so many other tools. And some of these tools does almost everything here, including test case generation, code creation. For example, Claude ChatGPT will do test case creation, code creation, visual regression, each week testing AI eval and emerging text. So when it comes to Git code generation, you can use GitHub Copilot, you can use Claude. Most developers are usually between Claude, more of Cloud to Git. In fact, both of them are amazing. It just depends on what you can afford or what you can lay your hands on. I've used both and they are both amazing. For visual validation, Apple2 is one of them. For E2E testing, Marble is one of them. I once used Marble, and in fact, one of the amazing things it does, it's helping you with flaky test, helping you with it also works like an healing tool. In a situation where your selector fails or changes, it can help you fetch the correct one and automatically add it to your script and runs it for you without any human intervention. All right, so for vals, we're looking at tools like OpenAI is also a good tool. Then emerging tech, the ecosystem, new tools are really emerging. In fact, there are quite a lot of AI tools out there, just research, watch out for people's reviews on this tool. If you are not sure, ask an expert in your organization. Don't just pick any AI tool and start dumping your private properties on it. Okay, so let's look at a real life scenario, a fintech transfer. How AI helps. One, it helps to generate test idea from the user story. Like I mentioned earlier, it can help you draft API tests for amount, fees, and limits. It can also suggest idempotence and retry cases for you. It can help you write your unit test for fee calculation logic. It can help summarize field logs after regression runs. And for human tester role, you can verify complex business rule and edge cases. You can check settlements, reconciliation impacts, because even while all these tests are running, you still need to check what's happening in the backend, check what's happening in your databases, because you are not going to expose all this to your AI. So there's still the role you play as a tester, do validation because it passes in the front end. That's not the final say. If your transfer shows successful in the front end, what happens in the back end? What happens to the other party? Was he or she credited? Was actually debited? All these things still requires human intervention. So validate fraud and risk engine rules, confirm audit trails for compliance, decide which failures are critical for release. Awesome. So, yes, our 30 days beginner plan. Yeah, hacks in the beginning of the webinar to know those that are beginner and expert. Even myself, I'll say I'm still intermediate when it comes to using AI. There's still a lot of amazing things to, learn and do. And I think one of the challenges most of us face is, access to these tools. Some of these tools are paid. The ones that are free limit you. Like today now, I use the free ChatGPT ChatGPT to generate a test case it generated about nine test cases for me. Then I switched to the paid plan. Same prompt, same request. It generated about 25 test cases for me. So you can see the difference between using a paid plan and using the free plan. The free plan will limit you, even your outputs or how far you can go with it. And some of these amazing tools, even the GitHub Copilot, requires some subscription. Some of us are lucky to work in organizations that provide it for us for free. Some of us have to take out of our monthly salaries, to pay for these tools. Whichever way, the goal is to find a way to integrate ourselves in it and start using it every day. So for those of us that are still, coming up or getting used to AI tools, I haven't started at all, this is the time you need to start using it. Understand the basics, know the difference between AI-assisted testing versus testing AI. When you use the likes of like ChatGPT to create test cases, is assisting you. But when it comes to testing those LLM, those AI, those chatbot system, then that's testing AI. That's another skill on its own. You need to learn prompting practice, and when you hack something in this manner, try tweak it, try, improve on your prompts. In fact, the beauty of it all is you can even tell these AI tools to generate prompts for you. You can even ask it will generate different sample prompts for you and tweak it to what you truly want. Then use it regularly. With two, then you should start, integrating with workflows. Goal is here as an assistance. With one, you're just learning the basic, understanding how this thing works, how to use it and all. With two, you need to start integrating with your workflow. Generating test cases from PRD. You have a user story. You ask it to create test cases for you. You want to write a script. You ask it to generate a script for you, stuff like that. Then with three, smarter validation. You are now, a bit comfortable using these tools on your job. With three, now smarter validation. Check AI assumption, visual flow testing, security failures, test cases. So this is where you now start, validating the output, trying to even, confuse the application itself. Try to review, validate, and all. Then week 4, from week 1 to 3, you've learned how to, use AI as your assistant. And week 4, you need to start learning how to test AI feature. For example, you can start with a chat prompt. Set so here it says define good answers on save refusal checks, like when I talked about asking it to do a refund for you, build a new tiny vouch sheet and all. So this is a good way to test. And again, for those of us that are already working in organization, you need to start using this too. I always tell people, in most cases, nobody will tell you, Lagbaja, start using AI to generate test cases or start using AI to review PRDs. You need to pick them up, you need to start using it. Yes, so the real story, like we started with, AI is not replacing tester, it's just changing what strong tester do, And funny enough, I was chatting with a friend that I think about 2 years ago, I looked at myself and I felt I was about hanging the boots in the QA industry, Um, let me focus on other areas, things I'm building and all. Then here I came into play. And I said to myself, man, I can't hang the boat right now. I need to, integrate myself into this AI that is evolving in the tech space. So yes, we are learning, we are improving every day. We're exposing ourselves to new AI tools, So yeah, so when it comes to AI, think of this, core skills, risk thinking, product understanding, human judgment, system behavior, trust and safety, and release decision. This is the future of QA and AI. So at this junction, please, if you have question, please ask.